So yeah, I just went to the drive-in and saw Bill and Ted Face the Music. Don't worry though, I made sure I was responsible so that I wasn't a total dickweed to everyone. My overall impression of the movie, spoiler-free opinion, well, honestly, it was pretty good. One might say it was excellent! So yeah, basic premise of the film. It's 25 years or so since the events of Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, and Bill and Ted haven't achieved their destiny yet of uniting the world with their music and bringing peace and harmony to everything. And as you saw in the trailers, they're kind of being stigmatized by everyone around them who think they're just deluding themselves. Like you see in the one trailer, Ted's dad going like, you need to stop deluding yourselves that you went through time and went through the afterlife and all that. You need to grow up and get jobs. At the height of all this going on, they get taken to the future and basically told, hey guys, you've kind of been dicking around too much for the past several years, and now we need you to unite the world in less than an hour and a half. Otherwise, not only is the utopian future based on your music never going to happen, but apparently it's going to completely destroy the space-time continuum. So Bill and Ted, with this time crunch and knowing that they haven't had the best success with their music in recent years, they come up with the idea, hey, let's just travel to the future and basically plagiarize our future selves. And while this is going on, their daughters, who are basically gender-swapped versions of Bill and Ted, decide, hey, what if we take a time machine ourselves and go and collect a bunch of famous musicians throughout history to basically help our dads create this song that'll unite the world. And while all this is going on, there's some killer robot sent from the future who's trying to kill Bill and Ted. And while this sounds like a completely batshit nonsensical plot, it perfectly fits within the world of a Bill and Ted movie. I mean, these movies, to say they exist in heightened reality, is a severe understatement. I mean, the movie, from the standpoint of the movie from any standpoint of logic, is pretty dumb. But this is a case of a film that's really dumb, knows it's dumb, and at least has fun with it. Now, I know some assholes online are going to inevitably say that the movie's woke garbage with their daughters being Mary Sue's, but that's not really the case, because as I said before, they are basically just female versions of Bill and Ted. I mean, they are a little more intelligent than they are, but it mostly revolves around the fact that they just happen to know more extensive vocabulary than they do. So yeah, overall, I thought this was a pretty enjoyable movie. It was dumb, silly fun, and dear God, do we need something that's as lighthearted as this film is now. I mean, this film is just pure, let's just shut off our brains and just embrace silly fun and not be so goddamn cynical about the world. Now, admittedly, it is a film where the first 5-10 minutes are a little uneven, but once it gets going, it starts to get really enjoyable and feel more like the Bill and Ted movies of the past. And you honestly can tell that everyone's clearly just having fun being in a silly Bill and Ted movie. Well, and the film does continue the theme of the series.
Be excellent to each other. And party on, dudes!
So yeah, overall, I would give Bill and Ted a solid B+. If nothing else, for the fact that it clearly had a lot of love put into it, and it really has good intentions with just being a fun, uplifting, silly, dumb comedy. Which, quite frankly, if you were expecting anything else out of a Bill and Ted movie, you clearly do not understand what these films are about. Now, while I don't want to get into every spoiler of what happens, There are a couple things I do want to talk about briefly. So if you want to see the movie, you can just end the video right here. Like I said, if you like the previous Bill and Ted films, this movie it will make you happy. It's just silly, dumb fun with a really positive outlook on humanity, which, again, something we really need more of right now in movies. Now, one of the spoilers I do want to mention is how the daughters go about going throughout history to find people to help their dads finally achieve their great uniting music. I honestly really liked how it was a great variety of musical styles here. Not just rock music like you would expect. I mean, it's probably no big surprise that one of the people they get is Jimi Hendrix. I mean, that would be a pretty obvious choice in terms of dream rock musician to be in a Bill and Ted time traveling band. But they also get Louis Armstrong, and I mean like young Louis Armstrong when he was starting out. And that was pretty cool. And they also get Mozart, and there's a really funny moment where they get his attention by having Jimi Hendrix basically playing back one of his pieces of music outside of the building where he's performing. And it honestly felt like a classic Bill and Ted sort of moment. I also do appreciate how they did have a couple of token non-American or European musicians. Like they get a musician from ancient China, and that I thought was a nice touch. And it was also fun that for a drummer they literally get a cave woman from like the Stone Age. Admittedly, they don't do much with those characters, but it's nice that they at least had some inclusion into it. Because despite what some would say on the internet, inclusion's not necessarily a bad thing, guys. Anyway, the other thing I want to talk about is the ending. This is the time travel resolution I wish we would have gotten in Endgame. Because here you have a story where, like in Endgame, you have time travel and split timelines being created. But unlike Endgame, the characters actually embrace the idea of like, hey, if there's multiple timelines, then that means we can basically use time travel to game the system. Literally, Bill and Ted time travel all throughout history, utilizing multiple different timelines to basically have everyone in every time and place playing the same tune that they and their daughters and everyone with them are playing in the present, so that literally all of the world is united with their music. It's admittedly really fantastical and all that, but you know what? Time travel's pretty fantastical too. Now, one thing that I know is going to piss off some of the fanboys here about this ending is that it turns out the great prophecy about Bill and Ted uniting the world through their music, turns out it wasn't quite about just Bill and Ted in terms of Theodore Logan and Preston Esquire uniting the world. Basically, it turns out it's them and their daughters who unite the world through their music. And I honestly had no problem with that, because you know what? Bill and Ted still got to rock out with them, and Bill and Ted do play a major role in that still, because in order to unite the world through their music, they literally use the space-time continuum to basically travel all throughout all space and time to literally have the entire world play music at the same time. And all of this was wonderful, contrasting it to Endgame, where in Endgame the time travel ended up being really fucking pointless because they didn't do shit to alter the timeline of Thanos murdering half the universe and creating God knows how much long-term catastrophic damage on the universe that never got fixed. Oh, and also, unlike Bill and Ted Face the Music, Endgame ended up being wholly about just the three main guys, and basically presented everyone besides them as expendable. Oh, and also with Bill and Ted Face the Music, it was really nice to see a contemporary time travel movie that doesn't go out of its way to prop up its time travel story by slamming the best time travel movie ever made. Anyway, I digress. Bill and Ted Face the Music, like I said, is a lot of fun. If you like the type of comedies that the Bill and Ted movies are, and don't take them too seriously, but just accept that they're not trying to be serious but are instead just out to have a good, dumb, fun time, you'll enjoy this film. So yeah, if you like this video, totally remember to subscribe and ring the bell, dude.